Let's now move on to our first main topic today. And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Michael Serb, who writes, "Hey John, Far From Home's budget was $160 million, but what really shocked me was that they spent $288 million on marketing Spider-Man. They spent more money on Far From Home than Disney spent on Endgame. Is this risk worth it?" All right, thanks a lot for the question, Michael. Appreciate that. And yeah, you guys read that right. There's a new report that's come out of I believe it was Deadline, put out this report talking about the marketing budget for Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, quite often, I often get people ask me, John, that movie cost $100 million to make and it made $140 million. Why are you saying it lost money? Because the marketing budget is something we often fail to take into consideration. Now, normally for a big Hollywood release, you're looking at anywhere from $40 to $100 million for the bigger films, maybe 150, blah, blah, blah. Endgame became astronomical, went north of $200 million on their marketing budget, whatever. So word now has come out that the marketing budget on Spider-Man Far From Home exceeded $288 million. Here's the report from Deadline on this. They wrote the following. Spider-Man Far From Home's promotional media campaign also set an industry record with $288 million in media value. That number blows away the $200+ million promo campaign of Disney/Marvel's Avengers Endgame. In total, Far From Home touts the largest multi-tiered promotional campaign ever compiled for a motion picture. The program created a 360 lifestyle experience for fans to interact with the franchise, where Spider-Man can be seen on Papa John's pizza boxes, flying in the safety video of United Airlines, on over 500 million Dr. Pepper cans and bottles, and inside Burger King's meal boxes, so on and so forth, on and on and on. This movie, Spider-Man Far From Home, has spent more money on marketing than any other film in history, including that of Avengers Endgame. And I gotta tell you, when this report came out, it kind of shocked the hell out of me. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of shocked the hell out of me. It really did. Because look, this is a big tentpole project for Sony, and it's Sony that did the marketing for this because they are the distributor. It's not done by Marvel or Disney. Sony shocked the hell out of me because I was expecting to hear a big marketing budget for a big tentpole film like this. No doubt, I wasn't going to be surprised by that. But $288 million. Now, how do I feel about that? Honestly, I'm totally good with that. I'm totally good with them spending $288 million on promoting this film. Now, some of you might be going, but John, we've heard you say many times that you feel that Hollywood needs to start reeling in how much money they're spending on their movies, because the spending in the movies is getting completely spinning out of control, and that extra cost gets passed down to the moviegoers who have to pay more for their tickets to justify these studios spending so much money on making the damn movies. We've heard you say that, John. Understandably. Why then are you now saying that you're totally cool with Sony spending $288 million on marketing Spider-Man Far From Home? And my answer to this, agree or disagree, my answer to that would be this. There's a difference between how much money you spend on making your movie and then how much you spend on marketing. You don't need to make, you'll never convince me you need to spend $250 million to make a movie. You'll never convince me of it. However, there is a direct correlation on return on investment, or ROI, between how much you invest in marketing a film and that having a direct impact on how much money then comes back in. You know, me and Rob have had this debate, and I've had this debate with a number of you guys online too. I remember when Avengers Endgame was coming out, there are some people insisting they don't even need to market Endgame. You don't need to market Endgame. You don't need to put out any trailers. You don't need to market it. It's going to be the biggest film ever without marketing. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. And you know who knows that? Disney knows that. You know who knows that? Marvel knows that. You know who knows that? Sony knows that, because they know when they've got a movie that has such big potential, you can't actualize that potential unless you get out in front of it and market the hell out of it. Keep putting it in people's faces and all that kind of stuff, because while it's true that there are people like me and you who are going to go see Endgame and probably going to go see Spider-Man Far From Home, regardless, the fact of the matter is that is not how the average moviegoer works, and 85% of the movie-going audience is the average moviegoer. So you want to bring them into these big tentpole films. You want to bring them in. And so I'm actually a lot more, what's the best word? Understanding of a studio wanting to just pour dollars into marketing a film. I'm far more understanding of that than I am with how much money they actually put in, because there's a direct correlation between the amount of marketing that you do and the effectiveness of your marketing. That you can't just throw money at marketing. You got to do an effective marketing campaign. There's a direct correlation between your marketing campaign and how many butts you get put into that seat. It's not the only factor. Not at all. I'm not suggesting that it is, but it is the biggest factor. And we've seen that play out time and time again. And the Hollywood studios know this. That's why we saw Marvel and Disney spending $200+ million on marketing Endgame, and look at the results. We're talking about a movie that's now within a hair of becoming the biggest all-time box office movie in history, because they went all in on their marketing budgets. Sony went all in on their marketing budget. And what's the result been? Spider-Man Far From Home is now the #1 movie in the world 2 weeks in a row. We're going to get into the box office a little bit later, but I believe there is a direct correlation between that. Now, you can make an argument of over marketing, but I only think over marketing comes into play when you're putting out too much footage. But when you're talking about the global campaign, how do you campaign this thing in Romania? How do you campaign this thing in England? How do you campaign this thing in China? How do you campaign this thing around the world? Putting images and everything on the pizza boxes. Millions of people fly on airlines. Put Spider-Man in their welcome video on United Airlines. Put them on soda cans. Put them on billboards. Put them all. Make everybody aware about this movie and what's coming. And the result has been overwhelming. The result has been overwhelming. And we'll get a little bit more into specific box office numbers for Spider-Man Far From Home. But we can say at this point, the box office numbers for Spider-Man Far From Home are a direct relation to not just coming off of Endgame and being a popular character, but they're some of the biggest numbers we've seen yet. And I think that's a lot of that, not all of it, but a lot of it is chalked up to the very intelligent, calculated marketing campaign that Sony's put up for this thing. And that includes spending $288 million. Now, look, am I saying right now that every movie out there needs to spend close to $300 million to market their movies? No, I'm not saying that. Not every movie needs that. But not every movie has aspirations of being a $1 billion film. Not every movie has aspirations about being a $1.3 billion film. When you've got those aspirations, you're going to have to put your money behind your marketing, and Sony did that. And I think the results speak for themselves. And it's pretty damn good. So anyway, what did you guys think about that news upon hearing that Spider-Man Far From Home is the most expensive marketing campaign of all time? Smart move? Bad move? Do you guys notice it? Do you not notice it? Maybe they spent a lot of that money in overseas marketing, hence that's why we're getting such a bump overseas for it. Jump down to the comments section below and let me know what you guys think.